So these my self-talks. Now, somebody told me, like after I said focus on yourself, it's like, why would you tell people to focus on yourself? You should do that. Practice what you preach. One, I don't feel like I'm preaching, because this is my self-talk. Like, this is literally like I'm sharing how I think and how I speak to myself. And I literally talk out loud all the time. Like, I think loudly. And the only time I don't sometimes is when I'm around people. But even when I'm around people, like at work and clearly in view, like sometimes I'm gonna be talking as if I'm on the phone with somebody, but I'm just thinking. Like, I had these conversations. You know what I mean? So if you think me giving this what sounds like advice is not me focusing on me, you're mistaken. Like, I clarify stuff like the same way, like, it's just like writing. People who write, whatever you write. I write songs a lot. Sometimes I write like stories, or I just journal ideas, thoughts. But it's like, one thing about writing, it clarifies a lot of thoughts. And then sometimes it ain't till, even with a song, it ain't till I write it down, record it, and listen to it over and over that I see the picture clear as day. Like, while writing it, I see the picture, but it get more and more clear the more I hear it. So that's why, or the more I hear it, whether I'm listening to the recording or I'm like just practicing it out loud. So that's why I think out loud a lot of times. And also, when you speak, when you hear things, it impresses it on your subconscious. So as you repeat something over and over, like an affirmation, then your mind learns to think that way more and more naturally. And because hearing it, hearing the vibration, hearing the thought out loud, your ear catching and feeling the vibration of the sound of it is stronger than just the thought. The thought is strong. Thought is energy. But when you speak it, it's a stronger impression on your mind. So even when you do affirmations, that's why they say it out loud. Most people, affirmational practice is to speak it out loud. It's not just to think it. You can think it over and over and it'll help you. But if you speak it over and over, it'll help you a little more or a little faster. It'll get you there. And this is why so many of us, like the people who you listen to, who I listen to. I listen to people on YouTube. I listen to audio books. I listen to music. You know what I mean? These people, I guess everybody might not be that way. Especially, so when you get to a certain point of understanding, a lot of your stuff might be advice for what you've been through. Well, really everything is. Some of it is projection, but a lot of it is reflection. Even the projection comes from reflection. It's like, I've been through this, so I understand this. I understand my previous steps, and being consistent with my habits and my walk has allowed me to clearly see my present and my future steps. I see what I need to do now because I've been consistent in the past, and I've been able to look back and recognize the pattern. You know what I mean? The more we recognize patterns of what we've been through, especially patterns that have helped us to progress, even the patterns that we've had to learn to break out of. It's like the more we recognize it, the more we could see how our patterns will develop for the future. The more we could see our path and write out and order our steps in the future. So all of these people, everybody pretty much, like the more we create, record content and put it out there, the more solidified it is for ourselves. So it's like, even for yourself, whether you start a YouTube channel or you just start to record yourself or speaking or thinking or you writing stuff down, it'll help you get where you're going when you reflecting out loud on where you've been and how you've progressed. Don't spend too much time thinking about it as a problem. Like when you feel like you misstepped, you messed up, you was zigging, then you zagged a little bit, and now you got to zig again. It's like, do it to recognize it. If you get a negative feeling, acknowledge it. Acknowledge the feeling. That's cool, because that's gonna help you to not do it again. But don't just dwell on the negative, because you might just learn to recognize it and see it and create more of it. We acknowledge the negative, or not even that is negative. Because when you go through something that could be seen as a negative experience, if it is something you don't want to happen again, you went through it so it won't happen again. It's like, until you went through it, you didn't know how to not go through it. But once you go through it, you either improve and don't go through it no more, or you don't improve and you go through it again. Like school, like failing the grade. If you don't figure out how to not go through it again, and this is why victim mentality messes a lot of people up. Because when you feel like you was a victim of something and you ain't had no power in the situation, if people who come along and try to help you to accept figure out how to not let it happen again, they feel like they blaming you, and they feel like your enemy in your mind, because you don't feel like you had the power or have the power to change it. That's where a lot of confusion comes between people who are traumatized and people who want to help them. It's like, if you were traumatized and somebody did something to you, they might have done it to you. It might have been something you couldn't avoid at the time. But these people who are around you, who care about you, the only way that they can help to improve the situation, if they have perspective, is to help you to be better, in a sense to where you won't go through it again. Whether you recognize the situation and don't put yourself in that situation. No, you couldn't avoid it the first time, but now we gotta look at what happened. We gotta look at all the signs. You know what I mean? It's like, people would be like, don't change me, change them. And it's like, it's easier for you to change than for them to change. Especially if what they did was wrong and they did it. They probably don't know that it was wrong. They probably didn't think it was wrong. That's why they did it. Or else they wouldn't have did it, right? So, and these people don't know that person most of the time. They just know you and they care about you. So it's like, how them? That's like if somebody gets sexually assaulted, any kind of assaulted, it's like the people around you more so would rather try to help you learn self-defense tactics than to try to find this person and sit with them and all the other people in the world and talk to them about how that's wrong and how not to do that. And they gonna have more success with teaching you something that makes you better and makes you be able to handle it than trying to teach somebody who don't get it and who don't think they was wrong most of the time how to think that's wrong. And you know what I mean? So it's a lot to it, but all of this comes from just the idea of like, whatever you do, you focusing on yourself. There's really no way to not focus on yourself. Even when you focus on other people, it's like you focused on yourself and that person, or you focused on what you want for yourself that you think that you see that person has. We always focus on self. We always seeing self, but we not always seeing it as that. The more we can see it as that, the more I can see myself in you and recognize that I'm seeing myself in you, the better. Whether it's good or bad, whether it's something I like, I appreciate about you and myself, or it's something I don't appreciate about you or myself. It's like the more I can see that it's myself in you, the more I'm able to clarify and clearly work towards improvement and ordering my steps to a better future, creating a better present. Yeah. Peace. We're here. Let's get it.